Have you ever seen someone say something like, it's just a pentatonic scale, and then play something that just sounds amazing? So then you and try and play the same scale, and it just sounds like, a scale? Well, in this lesson, I'm going to teach you 3 pieces of musical language so you can start to actually make music with the pentatonic scale rather than just having it come out sounding like a bunch of note salad. Welcome to Become a Bassist, where it is all about insanely practical, no BS bass lessons designed to get you playing better bass, having more fun, becoming the best bassist you can be, and today that means learning some of the language of music, specifically around the pentatonic scale. Now, I'm probably at least a little bit guilty of this, saying things like, it's just a pentatonic scale, then playing a bunch of stuff that I, might think sounds cool. But then you go and try and play the same pentatonic shape, the same notes, but it just doesn't come out sounding quite right, okay? Now, that's because, people with a bit more experience, they often play lots of musical language that just happens to fall into, a pentatonic scale or whatever scale they're using. And people with less experience think that the scale is the language, but that's not necessarily true. It's not the pentatonic scale that sounds cool by itself, it's the language that sounds cool. So while you do need to know the names of the notes and the shapes of the pentatonic scale, all that kind of stuff, today we're going to go beyond just the shape. We're going to go one level deeper, peel back the layers a bit, and find the language in the music. Sound good? Let's go. Now, our very first piece of pentatonic language is something that I use all the freaking time, and it works like this. Let's use the people's key of... Oh, there's my volume. The people's key of E, so E minor pentatonic. So, and by the way, for all these licks, if you need a quick primer on the pentatonic scale, how it's made and how you can combine and memorize all the different shapes, I do have a lesson all about that. I'll put a link to it in the description, but we'll just be using these notes. So E, G, A, B, D, and E, but all over the bass, all like that. Now, our very first lick, our very first piece of language sounds like this. Yeah, we actually start on the 4th of the minor pentatonic scale, and we're in the key of E, which means we're going to start on this A right here, this 7th fret on the D string, and we'll go from there down to the 3rd, this G, the 5th fret on the D string, so, and then the same thing again, da, da, da. But instead of going back, down after that, we're actually going to go up to this B right here, the 4th fret on the G string, and then finish up by going down to that G right there. So, by itself, sounds like that. Yeah, you could also play that B up on the 9th fret on the D string. That works well too. You can also play this, down here, up here. There's plenty of different variations and places you can play all over your bass, depending on what you want to do with it. Now, this lick, super common piece of language, not just for, bass lines or fills or solos, but on other instruments as well, whatever it happens to be. So if you know a song that uses this, piece of language, melody, a lick, a guitar riff, whatever it happens to be, write it in the comments. Just write out lick number 1 and then the name of the song and the part of the song that uses it. I'm sure you've probably heard this before somewhere. Now, the goal here isn't just to play, the same exact thing, in the same exact way every time you play it. The goal with all the licks I want to start to show you is to start playing around with the language. So take the basic idea, take that idea, obviously the notes and maybe the contour of the line, the general shape of it, but I want you to make it your own, whether that's through, variations in the rhythm, whether it's variations in, different parts. You might, repeat some parts, or messing around with it in different ways. You can do all kinds of different things. So for example, you might make a bass line out of it. So if we've got 3, 4, like a groove like this, we might have a bass line just like that. But you can take that idea and make a bass line out of it. Yeah? Let's try something else. Let's try a different rhythm. I don't mind that. Yeah? So that's in like a kind of bass line universe, I guess, but you could also treat this like a fill, so you might play it a little bit higher, like where we were playing it before. So you might go something like that. Yeah, so different variations. If you're playing a bass solo, you could use this kind of idea as well. You might start off maybe up a little bit higher if you're in bass solo territory. 3, 4, you might go. You know, something like that. Tons of variation just from this one tiny piece of language. See how every time it's just the same idea used in a slightly different way. You're taking that core idea, that little nugget, and playing around with the language rather than just a shape. And doing that, it's going to end up being way more musical than just note salading a shape that you've memorized. Lick number 2 though, let's go. Now this one is going to sound like this. Now again, there's a couple of different ways to play this one, but we're starting on the 5th of the E minor pentatonic, this B on the D string, the 9th fret. And from here, well, I kind of like to slide in this one a little bit, gives it a bit of extra character, I guess. But we're going straight to this D right here on the 7th fret of the G string. And for this one, this is like, the idea is to hang on that D for just a little while. It's like the star of this lick. And then on the way back down, we just play 5, 4, 3, 1 of the E minor pentatonic. So from the B, I like to kind of slide down to the A there, 7th fret, play the G on the 5th fret before ending the E on the A string right there. Just like that, right? Now, again, if you know a song that uses this piece of language, give it a shout out in the comments. Just say lick number 2, then the song name. Now, like I said, the important part, again, is not learning the lick exactly and playing it the same way all the time. The important part is using this piece of language as a springboard, playing around with it, making it your own, right? Giving it your own personal tweaks. So let's do a bit of that. First off, let's treat this lick as though it were part of a kind of a bass line. So you might probably play it down here. Down there. So let's get our track back. Hold on, puppy. 3, 4, up. And so we're going to add yeah, that kind of works. Let's do another one. Let's change it up rhythmically. It's pretty similar. Let's do yeah, that's kind of cool. It's kind of almost verging on bass fill territory, which if you were going to do that, you'd probably want to go, you know, probably a little bit higher. Something like that would work. Also, what you can do sometimes is play the same thing in higher octave and then play it in the lower octave. Yeah. So again, that was maybe a little bit sloppy, but the idea is kind of cool, right? Now again, you can use the same exact idea to solo as well. So you might do really hang out on that D, really milk it. You know, that'd be a great opening phrase. Let's do a bit of a variation. So instead of going to the D, we went to the E. What if we go up to the G? You know? So small things like this, taking the general idea of the piece of language and making it your own, doing this part, the personal tweaks, this is how you can start to develop your own voice. You don't just do it in a vacuum or just by, you know, learning shapes or diving deep into music theory. Now, that stuff can absolutely help, and you absolutely should do that stuff. But if you start with common pieces of language and tweak from there, it means when you go out to play with other people, you'll be very, understood musically without sounding like a carbon copy and without just, note salading your way through the pentatonic scale all the time. All right, our last blistering lick is the longest, but it's also one of the coolest from this video. It's at least in the top 3. And where the first lick started on the 4, the second one started on the 5, this final one is actually going to start on the 3rd, so a G right here. Now, again, there are a couple of different ways to play this one. We will get to all of them, but I'll show you the one that I probably use the most. It looks like this. So from this G, we're going to go up to the A, 7th fret on the D string, then the B, 4th fret on the G string. From there we go back down to our starting point, and then again up to the A, and then back down to the G, and finishing up on the E, on the 7th fret on the A string. You can give the G to the A a bit of a, give it a bit of character there. But that's the idea, right? That's, it works. A couple of different ways to play that. If you wanted to kind of stretch your hands a little, you play the B on the 9th fret up here. Although that kind of shape, it's probably a little bit easier to play up high, so your hands aren't so kind of stretched out. You can also play it here. Or, tons of different ways. But actually, let's focus on playing it down here. Because if we're going to start using this piece of language to create some bass lines, that is a great place to do it. So let's see how we can tweak this piece of language and see what we can do with it. So let's grab our track back. 3, 4. Okay, that works. Let's mix it up a little bit, maybe change the rhythm. Okay, so it was kind of a double up with a bit of a break at the end. I kind of like that. I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. It's almost, again, kind of verging on bass fill territory, but let's try it that actually. Idea was okay. Execution was about a C minus. Let's go again. That's a bit better. Let's go again. Slightly different idea. Change the rhythm a bit. Hanging out on the A at the end there. That's all right. Let's try one more. Giving it a bit of a thing at the end there. That's fun, right? Cool little bass line. But again, we can do the same thing with that piece of language in a kind of solo context. So let's give that a try. So imagine we're, bass solo, 2, 3. Perfectly acceptable phrase. That works as well. I'm cheating a little bit. I'm adding that D at the end there. But again, it's that same core idea, tweaking it, making it your own as much as humanly possible. Now, if you were asked to, take a bass solo, honestly, you could use all 3 of these pieces of language right after one another. It'd probably sound fine, right? Let's see if we can do that. Let's grab the track. 3, 4. So the first one, and then, that's fine. Not particularly musical yet. It's just kind of like idea. But let's try and, give it a little bit of massage and see if we can make them work really well together. So let's go. Yeah? So that last little thing, all three of the ideas kind of like one after another, but it felt a lot more musical, a lot more natural, it flowed a lot better, right? And seriously, with just these 3 licks, you can create a metric butt ton of variations. You know, you could fill an entire song with super cool bass lines, super cool fills, and like I said, the solo thing that we just did. But like I've been hammering home, you need to take these ideas, really spend some time with them, tweak them, make them your own, add your own phrasing, your own spices, your own flavor. So if you want the easiest way to do that, here's what I'd recommend. Download the track from this video and the PDF with all these different licks so you can start practicing them in your own ways. And of course, you can get it all for free, by the way, including a slower version of the drum track just to make things as easy as possible. And if you want all that, just click the link in the description or right here, head to that page, fill out the form, and you can be learning and speaking the language of music instead of just regurgitating shapes in less than 60 seconds.